In addition to being a teacher, I do a comic strip 6 times a week for the Daytona Beach News-Journal called Mr. Fitz. It's about a middle school English teacher, so I never run out of material. And my presentation consists mainly of cartoons. Welcome to the Emerald City. Sometimes when people talk about the Common Core, it seems like they do it with all the bluster and fire of Oz, the great and powerful. The Standardized Standards is my parody name for in the comic strip. My contention here is that I think we need to get past the flames and bluster and pay attention to the man behind the curtain, question things, and I'm very heartened by how many presenters I've heard doing just that this weekend. My contention is, there's a lot of issues surrounding the Common Core that aren't part of the standards themselves, but they're important issues. How many of you have heard some of these statements? And my contention is that we need to not only pay attention to the man behind the curtain when it comes to these issues, but we need to, in an inquiry way, bring him out into our classes so our students can deal with these issues as well, because if they matter to us, they matter to our students even more. So, for instance, one of the first topics that I bring up is the power of definition. And when I was looking up a parody name, I looked up the word common and was amazed at the different meanings of common. But in any case, whoever makes the definitions has the power. And so as we take a look at things, for instance, I think we're starting to redefine writing as being somewhat impersonal. I'm also hearing people say that we're primarily, I've heard my county person say, it's all about writing to text now, none more of that personal stuff. And, you know, my students and I were questioning, if everybody's writing to text, who actually gets to write about reality? Someone must. And so these are the kinds of questions we've been discussing in my classroom is, you know, what is writing? Is it okay to write about what you're interested in? You know, well, no, because you're going to be doing it for the job. Well, don't you want to have a job you're interested in? Isn't that one of the things that writing can do? Reading. How are we redefining reading? For a long time, we focused on reading as bubbling. Now it's all about dissecting, and I wonder if it has to be so violent. I did a Halloween plot line where they dissected Mr. Story and then put him back together. And Mrs. Merritt, who is the state's ideal teacher there in the foreground, says, you know, we're reading for the breathtaking fun of mining a text for useless information. The idea of what's interesting is something, you know, let's have a discussion about what interest means. Whoops. All right, so feelings have been disparaged by some of the Common Core team, so let's talk about it. When do feelings matter? When do they not? Is writing that makes us feel something effective, or is it merely manipulative? And these are some of the discussions that we can have about reading. And I like the last one. Don't authors want us to connect with their books personally? Does Harper Lee want me to learn about courage and prejudice but never examine my own life? Talk to your students about how we define evidence, especially in our writing. My other favorite quote about statistics is, he used statistics the way a drunken man used lampposts for support, but seldom for illumination. That's Andrew Lang. Are statistics always better than more flowery or literary evidence like story or metaphor? Not necessarily. Sometimes numbers can seem terribly abstract, but a metaphor can give us a flash of insight. And so we need to make evidence more than a buzzword. We need to get kids talking about what evidence is. You know, does putting it on works cited mean it's true? One of the interesting ideas to pop up in relation to the Common Core is the idea that no one cares about your personal story, which when that statement was made, the thought I had was, aren't you telling us one of your personal stories? So, you know, raise the issue with your students of when do stories matter? You know, in addition to realizing, as this student does, that there's professions where we need to listen to personal stories as part of our jobs, aren't there people in our society whose personal stories we need to listen to, like veterans and people like that? So again, having a discussion about when does story matter? Can it be used for good? Can it be used for evil? I read the book The Storytelling Animal this summer, where he talks about both. And in the end, the questions raised by the man behind the curtain can lead to real rigor, deep discussion, and deep learning and reading and writing. In the end, the point isn't just to pay attention to the man behind the curtain, but to the munchkins, I mean our students.